Hi again, Erin Hines with Flip That Horse. Welcome to episode number 3. If you've been following along, we've been working with our little 2-year-old Palomino filly Sundance. She was not halter broken, she couldn't be caught. She's basically never been handled by humans, she's never had her feet picked up. So we've put her in the round pen a few times using natural horsemanship. She is now halter broke, she's out in the pasture. I halter her regularly and I've started picking up her feet. In this episode we're going to work with her in the round pen again and start getting her used to some leading and some yielding to pressure. Let's watch. Okay, so this is our third day in the round pen, and we're going to have a little refresher first and see how sticky she still is. That's her ability to stick with me wherever I go in the round pen, so that's the first thing I'm going to check. And I've asked her to come towards me with my usual sound, and she's come right over. Now before I attach the lead rope, we're just going to check the stickiness. And she's sticking right with me, but you're going to see she's a little too sticky. She's getting into my space, she's crowding me a little bit. She doesn't know to lead off my right shoulder yet, since she's never been taught how to lead properly. So we're going to work on those things today in the round pen. I'm going to show you exactly what it entails. But here her stickiness is quite good, even though she's getting a little bit in my space, and not necessarily on the right side. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit just to test the stickiness at a little faster pace, and here she's going to squirt out, and I'm going to immediately send her off and then immediately call her back. And that's the exact response I'm looking for, so that's good. I'm taking off the regular halter, which is the one I've been practicing with, haltering her. She's now gotten quite good at being haltered. So now I'm going to switch to the natural horsemanship halter, the rope halter. I prefer working with it when I'm doing training. A few notes: a rope halter does not break, so there are some safety concerns. You must never leave your horse unattended with a rope halter on, and never turn them out with a rope halter on. It's very dangerous. So they should only be used for training and for riding. And so that's what we're doing now. So we'll get the other halter out, and we're going to start by bringing her over, introducing the lead rope. Since this is really her first time leading, we're going to just start by walking around, and I'm going to use the end of the rope like a tail. So if she starts crossing over to the wrong side of me, I'm going to swing it around behind me like I just did. Here I'm just going to back her off by applying some pressure to her chest, and the second she steps back I release the pressure. That's part of releasing the pressure and giving to pressure. Good girl. That's something she hasn't done either, so we're going to do more of that. And here I'm going to introduce for the very first time the back up signal, which is wiggling the rope. And you're going to see that I start off with a little wiggle, and then I start to turn up the volume. And if she even moves, shifts her weight backwards as she did just then, I'm going to give her a release and give her a pat. You want to take this in very small steps, so even when I see that she's shifting her weight backwards, I reward her. Now at that point she just realized that she needed to move her feet, because I turned up the volume. And I'm going to ask her again, and now she thinks she's supposed to move away from me, but I immediately pull her back. She's licking her lips there, so she's figuring it out. She's trying several options to see what I want, and she's very quick to pick up what I want. There she started to get into my space too much, so I just waved my hands in her face to get her to back up a little bit. So these are all different techniques to get her to sort of back out of my space. One of them is wiggling the lead rope. Good girl. To get her to back up. Another one is pressing my fingers into her chest the way I just did. And then the other one is just to wave my hands in her face. Horses don't like that. So those are 3 ways to get her to step back or step out of my space. So now I'm just going to walk around and swing my tail, which is the tail of the lead rope. And that's to kind of keep her on my right side. So as she tries to switch over to the left, I'll swing that tail around behind me and send her back over to my right side. Now I'm going to ask her to back up again. She's a little bit stuck, so I bring my hand up as I turn up the volume, and she takes a step back. So we're going to work on several things at once. I kind of like to vary the program so we're not just doing the same thing all the time. So we're going to do a little bit of this backing up with the lead rope, and I'm going to turn up the volume. Good girl, she steps back. So we're going to keep practicing that and the other types of yielding to pressure as we embark on our very first leading lesson. It's very important to always reward her when she does the right thing. This is how they figure out what you want and how you get the best results, so I give her a lot of reinforcement. Alright, so now it's a few minutes later. I'm just continuing to work with the backing up, and she's getting the hang of it now. Now instead of backing up and then walking back towards me, she's staying where I put her. Well, almost. So as I continue to wiggle the rope, and she continues to learn that that just means to back up, I can send her a little bit further away each time now that she's getting the signal, and I can actually back her up all the way to the end of this rope, one step at a time. So this is going to have many, many uses down the road, and it's something that's pretty important to teach right from the beginning. Even more important than leading, perhaps, is getting them to back up. It's also going to be important for safety, specifically the safety of the handler. I'm just going to continue to ask her to back up until I've pretty much got her backed up to the end of my 12-foot lead. And she's looking calm, but she's paying attention, and she's now taking a less of a wiggle to get her to back up. The rope's now on the ground, and it just takes a little bit of my hand wiggling to get her to respond. So she's picked that up that quickly. Now we're going to introduce the concept of swinging the rope and having her move off around me in a circle. This is the first time she's ever done this, so she's not quite sure at first what I'm asking. So I make sure to give her plenty of rewards when she steps away from me. You can see here she's trying to face me, because so far that's what I've asked her to do, is face me. Now I'm asking her to walk around me in a circle. So she's starting to get it, and then I give her a big pat. So this is the beginning of the very first time she has been introduced to a rope swinging at her in order to get her to move around me. So that's a very good beginning. So I'll just keep asking her on both sides. I do everything equally on both sides because horses tend to be one-sided in their learning. You have to do each thing on both sides multiple times in order for them to learn it. So now she's getting a little bit more comfortable with walking around me. I'm going to continue to reward her each time she goes around me. Now I'm going to double check, go back to the backing up, and you can see she's very good now. The rope is just barely wiggling, and she'll take a step back each time without my having to turn up the volume. So she's learned that pretty fast. That took about 10 minutes, so that's really good. And you can see she's calm, she's relaxed, and that's what we want. So you'll notice the timing of this is very important. Each time she takes a step back or even begins to take a step back, I immediately stop wiggling that rope. So the timing of the release is very important. So now we're just going to practice walking around. I'm going to check and see if she's following me at my shoulder a little bit better. If she crosses over behind me, I'm going to swing that tail of that rope around. So now she's staying a little bit more on my right side, but she's still getting a little bit ahead of me. So what I'm going to do is, each time she gets ahead of me, I'm going to change direction. It's a very subtle way of keeping her attention focused on me. When she starts to get a little bit ahead, I change direction. You'll notice that I have a pretty good length of rope between the two of us. I'm not yanking on her or dragging her or using the rope to adjust her speed. It's her responsibility to stay at my shoulder, not get ahead of me, and not crowd me. So keeping the loose loop in the rope is what I want, and she's getting a little bit better about following at the right distance, giving me my space. So we're going to keep practicing this, and she's going to get better and better as we go along. Usually when I am walking along and I stop, I like to ask her to back up a step, just give me a little bit of space, which I'm going to do here. And she's going to give me a little step back. Good girl, that's what I want.